Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening. I'm Shabba Clark for Primetime Local News. Thank you for joining us. We'll be starting off with taking a look at your COVID numbers. There are 50 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan. One of the new cases in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 15 active cases. There are 29 active cases in the Northwest and 376 province-wide. 43 people are in hospital, with 2 in the Northwest. More than 1.39 million doses of the vaccine have been administered, including more than 86,000 in our zone. A bottle drive that started at the beginning of July by 2 kids for their father, Todd Brackley, who's battling against leukemia. Although their bottles were stolen a few days ago, residents came together and helped the family more than ever. We chatted with them to see their reaction to how strong the support has been. I'm joined here today with Mason and Mackenzie Brackley to speak about their bottle drive to raise money for their dad fighting leukemia back in Edmonton. Thank you both so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
Now, when did you and your family start this bottle drive?
We started about 3 to 4 weeks ago, when we found out that my dad wasn't getting the money he used to from his job, and he had a lot of bills to pay. So we thought of doing the bottle drive.
Now, how did you both come up with this idea to raise the money for your dad?
Well, we started brainstorming and ways to help my dad, and we thought of many other ideas, but we thought the bottle drive would have been best.
Could you tell us a little bit about the situation that happened with the bottles being stolen?
At the moment, I don't really know much about it, but they were stolen a few days ago. Lloyd donated a whole bunch of bottles to us, and yeah.
Now, we've seen your family get lots of online support after posting about that unfortunate situation with your bottles being stolen. How many bottles were donated after the fact when posting about this?
Well, definitely a lot more. A lot more.
That's really good to hear. And how did it feel to see how much support you got from the community after that?
We felt very grateful and touched and happy.
What's the plan now that you and Mackenzie will be doing now with the donations?
We plan to take it later today to Clan Donald 100 times more.
And are you guys still seeing lots of support online now with the donations?
Yes, we have a GoFundMe page set up online, and we also have a lot more people waiting for bottles to be picked up.
Is there anything else you both want to add for people to know about concerning your bottle drive?
Well, I would like to thank the community for donating all the bottles. It helped a lot. We're going to collect later this afternoon, and thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mason and Mackenzie, once again for joining us today.
Thank you.
The Vegreville Ag Society are hosting their annual county fair next week with a full-scale midway. Jace Mackey has more on what residents can expect.
With COVID-19 restrictions lifting, a lot of different events are going on, but some are still smaller scale. The Vegreville County Fair is going to be kicking off next week, and it's going to be a full-scale event. They're actually expanding the amount of days going on that it'll be happening. And joining me to talk a little bit more about this, I'm joined by the Vegreville Ag Society president as well as their office manager. So first of all, guys, can you tell me what people can expect from this year's fair?
The reason we went with the 5-day fair was to put in and get 5 days of chuck wagon and chariot racing in. We always have a spring chuck wagon race that we weren't able to have this year. And so we added those 2 days onto our fair, turning it into a 5-day fair instead of a 3-day. So of course, 5 days of chucks and chariot racing. We have grandstand shows, hot rod tractor pulls, and farm and antique tractor pulls, as well as ventriloquist for 2 days, a singer, a singing act for 2 days, and
the midway's all 5 days. There's a horse show for 3 days. There's beer gardens all 5 days. We have a kids zone with petting zoo. That's all 5 days.
Horse show for 3 days. Exhibit hall for 5, and marketplace for 5.
Great.
Now, a lot of different ag societies around Alberta have been putting on fairs this year, kind of last minute, and they aren't full scale. But from what it seems like, this is going to be a pretty big fair out in Vegreville. How did this come to be, and how were you guys able to organize such a big scale event?
It definitely is. Like normally we're only a 3-day fair. Part of it was we were worried that there was no Vermilion Fair, there was no Edmonton K Days at the time. So we didn't want a ton of people coming over 3 days. We wanted to spread it out. So we extended it with the chuck wagons to have 5 days in hopes that, you know, we could spread out the days a little bit better that way. So
becoming president last fall, I was bound and determined to have something a little bit more substantial than we had last year. All we had was a drive-through parade, and we had the horse show and a kind of a drive-in fireworks, and that's it. That's basically all we had. And I was bound and determined to have more than that, something whatever the health rules allowed us, right, with COVID. And we started planning hard and big right from the get-go. And then when we got the announcement, that kind of, announcement for July 1st, that kind of solidified it, right?
Yeah. So our theme this year is bigger, better, stronger than ever, and it definitely is all 3 of those this year. So.
And how exciting is it to be one of those big fairs in the province? And I know you guys kind of spread it out for the days to try and get a lot of people to come to it. So how exciting is it to kind of kick off this summer and have such a big scale event?
Well, I'm really excited, first to have a big fair, second to have, have everything there. But our grandstand, always lacked in the past. We didn't have many people after the chariots and chuck wagons ended. We couldn't keep the crowd, right? And so we often were playing for 50 people. So we're very excited to have the tractor pulls in front of the grandstand during the week, and also a couple bands and ventriloquists.
And so for people interested in coming out, how do tickets work and what is the pricing structure?
So right now we have a special until the end of Friday. So if they buy any 4 tickets, they get the 5th one free. And the ride bracelets until Friday are $35. So adults, right now it's $10 a day to come, and that's from 13 and up. For children, it's 3 to 12, and that's $5 a day. So that gets them, our gate passes allow all the midway or all the grandstand shows. There's no extra charge for any grandstand. And then the ride bracelets are $35 a day in advance.
As opposed to the $40 a day at the event, at the day.
And is there any other information that you want to get out to people?
We have park and ride as well at the west end of town, and just for out of towners, so they don't have to try and find parking amongst the urban area, right? So,
and it's a free service that we're offering.
And for people who are looking for more information, where's the best place for them to get it?
On our website is the best. So it's Vegreville Ag Society, vegag.ca.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking some time to talk with me today. And I hope that you guys get a good turnout, not just from people around the Vegreville area, but from, Edmonton, Lloyd here and stuff. We know there's not a lot going on full scale, so it's exciting to see what's going on in Vegreville.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
Welcome back. Lakeland College is set to receive a $1 million investment from the Canada Foundation for Innovation. The funding will be invested in smart agricultural technology. Jillian Code has the details.
Today I'm joined by Tanya McDonald. She is the Senior Executive Advisor with Lakeland College. Tanya, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the invitation and for your interest in our great news.
Absolutely. So what can you tell me about this $1 million investment from the federal government?
Sure. So Lakeland College has been advancing our research and academic programming related to smart agriculture in the last few years. And so this is just a fantastic investment from Canada Foundation for Innovation, or CFI. They have provided us $1 million towards our research infrastructure in our Ag Technology Center. So that funding is going to provide some capabilities for renovation of the center, and actually the center is near completion now. We're going to have our full grand opening this fall, so that's very exciting. And it's also going to fund the construction of a new lab that will be dedicated to livestock reproductive technology research, and it will fund a number of pieces of very high-tech smart agriculture equipment that is going to allow us to do some pretty awesome research, both on the crops and on the livestock side, that is really going to make an impact on producers.
Can you tell me a little bit about what kind of research projects that you guys are be working on?
On the crop side, this grant will allow us to purchase a drone and some hyperspectral cameras. So that's really going to increase the ability for us to utilize technology to look at crop yields, to look at disease detection, to look at different pest situations, really be able to determine, how can that technology be used in a favorable way in crop production. So that's super exciting. We're also going to be investing in a piece of equipment that is going to do optical spot spraying. So it's a smart technology that will allow spray to be applied to weeds only as needed, right? So it's very good for the environment, also very cost effective. So that's super cool. That's called the Weed It technology. On the livestock side, we're going to be investing in the green feed greenhouse gas emissions monitoring system. So we're going to be able to do some really important research, looking at both in intensive feeding, but also in the pasture, and looking at greenhouse gas emissions from livestock on an individual basis. So that's super cool. And then really looking at the livestock reproduction side. Lakeland College is moving forward, really looking at precision ranching as a key focus area. And I think this new lab focused on reproductive technologies is going to produce some really exciting research.
And you mentioned a lot of the research is focused around sustainability and the environment, which is something that a lot of people are wanting to see. People are wanting to see the agricultural industry really, really have a focus on sustainability. What kind of research in regards to sustainability is being done with Lakeland?
Definitely. When we look at sustainability, we look at all three pillars, right? Economic sustainability, environmental sustainability, and social sustainability. And I think that, we can't necessarily separate one from the other. We need to have a balanced approach, right? Especially if commercial agriculture and technology adoption is going to be successful, there needs to be a balanced approach. And so I would say that definitely on the crops and the livestock side, we're looking on the crop side. We've done some research on looking at sensors for grain drying and different ways of reducing energy requirements in grain drying. On the crop side also, we look at technologies, as I mentioned, for limiting the amount of spray that we use, so only using what we need, right? With that optical spray technology, that's really going to allow us to do some really cool research that is going to be very environmentally sustainable.
And with this $1 million investment, as well as earlier in the week, there was an announcement about a renewed partnership with New Holland. Seems like a really, really exciting time to be involved with Lakeland College, whether you're in faculty, current student, or even just becoming a student.
You bet. The model that we have at Lakeland College for students is really one of a kind. The student managed farm model has been highly, highly successful. Students learn so much from being able to have full control of decision making on that student managed farm. And so, with the support from New Holland, providing all of the latest and greatest equipment, and then from support from donors like this, from CFI, that will allow students to be able to be learning on some really revolutionary, new equipment in terms of these smart sensors and smart technologies, and also to have them be able to be involved directly with industry in applied research is just tremendous for their learning opportunity. So this grant is going to allow our student managed farm to become a fully connected, complete smart farm. And it's really going to take it next level. And that is just going to have a huge, huge impact on our students and their learning experience at Lakeland.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time today.
Okay, awesome. Have a great day.
Now here are your agricultural prices for today. NHL free agency kicked off Wednesday morning, seeing plenty of players find new homes. One player on the move is Lloydminster born and raised Braden Holtby. Holtby was the newest member of the Dallas Stars, signing a one-year, $2 million contract. The former Stanley Cup champion had previously been on contract with the Vancouver Canucks, signing a two-year, $8.6 million deal in 2020, but was bought out of his last remaining year earlier this week. In 21 games last season, Holtby had a 3.67 goals against average and a .889 save percentage. Now here's Connor Chance with another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Shelby. Yes, the free agency day definitely heated up quite a bit. We saw lots of dollars being tossed around, lots of players finding new homes, and the heat's also turning up here in the central areas of Saskatchewan and Lloydminster areas as well, as we did see another nice day today at 25 degrees. 27 out in the Edmonton area along with Cold Lake, with 26 for Whitecourt, and in Rocky Mountain House, 28 degrees in Jasper. Lots of places are going to get a little bit warmer as we get into the long weekend, which we are expecting lots of clear skies and some sunshine for that long weekend, whether you are going to go out and enjoy camping or just enjoy some time outdoors in your backyard. It should be nice weather nonetheless. But taking a look at North Battleford right now, 28 degrees with 29 in Saskatoon, and then 27 in Prince Albert and in Melfort. Going up to the northern parts of Saskatchewan, 23 degrees in the long area here in the La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, and La Ronge areas, 20 degrees in the Stony Rapids and Uranium City, all the way up further north. A little bit warmer in parts of northern Alberta, as we see 26 degrees for Fort McMurray, 22 in Slave Lake, and 24 in Peace River, as that heat trough kind of continues to make its way through parts of northern Alberta as well as central and southern parts of Saskatchewan. As we take a look here, lots of warm temperatures as well in that southern Alberta area. As we see 30 degrees in Medicine Hat, 26 degrees in Calgary, and then 29 degrees in Lethbridge. It was really warm yesterday in the parts of southern Saskatchewan, as we saw lots of 30-degree marks in the Regina Moose Jaw area, but it did kind of drop quite a little bit today, as we see 28 degrees in Moose Jaw, and then 27 degrees in Regina for today, 28 also in Yorkton, and then 29 all the way out in Estevan. As we look ahead across the country here, 31 degrees in the Winnipeg area, 23 in Toronto, 22 in Quebec City. Lots of cloud cover starting to brew over in those eastern Atlantic provinces there. Moving up to the Northwest Territory, 18 degrees up in Yellowknife, and then 18 also in the Whitehorse area. Lots of clear skies in Edmonton as well at that 27 degrees, and then 26 in Vancouver. Now, as we look ahead for tomorrow, we are going to be kind of around the same as where we are. We may go up a little bit more. We could see temperatures get maybe as high as 28 degrees for tomorrow. But as registered right now, 26 is what we are expecting for tomorrow. So 26 in Lloydminster, Marwayne, and 28 degrees in the St. Paul, Bonnyville areas as well. 29 degrees in Provost, in Edmonton, 30 in Macklin tomorrow, and then 29 degrees in North Battleford. So the heat is definitely starting to make its way through as we take a look now to the next 7 days and getting ready for that long weekend. 27 on Friday, 29 on Saturday. We could see those temperatures also go up a little bit, so we could even see the 30-degree days start on Friday and carry over into that Monday area. So 29 on Saturday, 33 on Sunday, 33 on the holiday Monday. We'll see a little bit of cloud coverage as well, and same with on Tuesday with that high at 28 degrees, and then we'll see a little bit more sun and cloud mixes for that Wednesday. We're well above our averages for the month of July still, as we have continued to show some good numbers in those areas for the last couple of weeks. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Dobson is back with us again this week for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Families in Two Homes. And Stephanie, this week we're talking about interspousal agreements. Now, this is something, to be honest, that I had never actually thought of. So can you start exactly by explaining to us exactly what this is?
Sure. And, I want to distinguish this. We've talked a few episodes ago about a separation agreement and why people would want a separation agreement. And so this time I thought, let's broaden it to the term interspousal agreement because it's a little bit broader. So what is an interspousal agreement? Realistically, it's just an agreement between two spouses. So it may be in the context of people at various stages of their relationship. It could relate to spouses who are about to live together or who already live together. It could be for those who are married or about to get married, or it can even be for people who are separating. Now, what's the difference between an interspousal agreement and a separation agreement? So a separation agreement is a form of interspousal agreement that only relates to separating spouses.
So if spouses plan to stay together, Stephanie, why would you go ahead and have this done anyways?
Well, at the beginning of a relationship, often people have really good intentions. They have the relationship at heart and a relationship in their mind, and often they'll make promises to one another. And sometimes those promises, or very often those promises, just stay verbal. And in particular, if someone comes into a relationship or both people come into a relationship with significant assets or things that they want to protect in the event of a separation, then it's really important that those promises get formalized into the written interspousal agreement.
So what kind of topics would go into that, Stephanie? Even if the couples are not planning on separating, what are some of the things that should be considered in that agreement?
Well, there's no set topics necessarily that go into an interspousal agreement, but I'll give you some of the typical ones. So for the first topic, typically we talk about division of assets and debts. So at the end of a relationship, what's going to happen to certain assets or certain qualities or certain types of assets? As well, there's legislation in each province that describes, if in the absence of an interspousal agreement, the legislation describes how assets and debts would be divided at law between spouses. So if spouses want something different than the natural application of the law, it's really important to put that into an interspousal agreement. Second, spousal support. So couples might want to specify whether spousal support would be payable or not payable at the end of a relationship. Of course, these are the types of agreements that are really difficult. At the end, they often will get challenged as far as what people agree to at the beginning. So it's really important to get legal advice about setting out something with respect to spousal support. Third topic, the children. So issues around children, of course, can be very difficult to put into an interspousal agreement. Often what will be included in that is children which were born of another relationship may be specified within an interspousal agreement. But even at that, it's risky to put it into an agreement while you're still cohabitating because the law will apply certain rights and entitlements with respect to parents and step-parents that are very difficult to enforce if you try to specify something different in an interspousal agreement. And the last one is what happens on death. So often in an interspousal agreement, you'll write out what your intention is with respect to providing for your spouse on death. The reason it's important to put it into an agreement is because an agreement is something that's signed by both parties. Whereas in a will, in a last will and testament, that's only signed by one party. And so there is a chance that one spouse or the other might have a different provision in their will. And so with the interspousal agreement, it's something that's signed by both of you.
Now, is this something that you can just do on your own, these types of agreements, or do you have to have a lawyer once it's done, look over it, sign it, that type of thing?
This is a really tricky question to answer. I'm going to be very, very cautious in my approach. It's highly, highly recommended that you have a lawyer to draft your interspousal agreement and to sign off on it. Now, that's not to say that you can't have the negotiations completed between the couple. You can even seek the assistance of a mediator to help to negotiate the terms of that agreement. But because there's specific legislation that will cause an interspousal agreement to be enforceable or not enforceable at law, it's really important that if you want certain promises between two spouses to be upheld in the event of a separation or in the event of death, it's really important that you make sure that it's enforceable, because these are the kind of agreements that often get challenged at the end of a relationship. And that's the last thing you want, is to find out at the end of your relationship that in fact all that entire duration of your relationship, you thought you were going on the same promises, and yet at the end of it, you find out that it's unenforceable.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much on the information on this. And if anybody is looking where to get started for something like this, you know, even if somebody's been a couple for, say, 6 months or 6 years, it's not too late, I'm guessing, to get something like this together. What is the best way to get that information?
Sure, they can reach out to our office at 780-875-2234, or of course, go on to our website at henkadivorce.ca.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much again for joining us this week, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me, Stacey.
Father Ivan Nichuski, who is a Ukrainian Catholic priest and a Canadian military chaplain, joins us today here on Primetime Local News. And Father Ivan, I know you're doing on this big bike journey. Just share with us, for our viewers that are getting to know you for the first time, what this bike ride that you're doing is for.
So I wanted to do, this is not my first kind of adventure thing fundraiser. This time I chose wheelchairs for Ukraine. I was just deployed in Ukraine with the military a year ago on Op Unifier. And for us, when somebody needs a wheelchair in Canada, we just get one. In Ukraine, it doesn't work like that. So there are people who need chairs, need wheelchairs, that don't have access, that can't get them, that can't afford them. And this way, we're going to reach out to them and send them some chairs. Some people will benefit from this bike ride, for sure.
What has been the most challenging thing that you've had to deal with so far on your journey?
The training and the choosing the route and the getting prepared, all that is for 7 months before this 1 month excursion. Some of the hardest parts were figuring out where to go. I knew I wanted to do gravel roads, and I chose far north, like Yukon and Northwest Territories, but COVID, the border crossings, every time you cross a territorial border, you had to isolate, whatever. Yeah, that was very complicated to do the logistics. So I chose to do Saskatchewan only because that was easy. So I chose all the northern routes of Saskatchewan. And when I say north, I mean far north. I don't mean where the population says is north, because everybody says L'Orange is north, but L'Orange was the southernmost part of my journey. Anyway, I did imagine a giant W on the top half of Saskatchewan, and I did from the top to the bottom, to the middle, to the bottom, and then there were so many forest fires that the forest fires stopped us. So that was 1,200 kilometers into the journey, last 800 to go, and it's just not safe. There were people being evacuated, roads are closed, fires could shift at any moment. It would have been stupid, sorry, I can't use that word. It would have been inappropriate for me to go there and tax the resources of Saskatchewan firefighters by having some crazy biker up there.
How much money have you raised so far? What's the end goal for the amount of money you want to raise for the Ukraine?
So end goal, I got a bunch of partners with this. So partnering with the Ukrainian Catholic Church, partnering with the Knights of Columbus Charitable Foundation, partnering with the Canadian Wheelchair Foundation, partnering with a group in a group in Lviv, Ukraine, that has it's a rehabilitation center, and they have a wheelchair repair shop. So all of these partners said, let's think really big. So I was thinking of $3,000, and they were saying, no, think big. And I said, okay, 10,000. They said, no. You stick to biking, we'll do the rest. And so they chose a giant amount, $250,000, 250,000. We certainly did not get the corporate response. We did not get the state Knights of Columbus response that we were expecting. But fantastic response. We got $22,000 right now. I got about $1,000 in my knapsack from people giving me money on the journey. So for me, this is an incredible positive response.
And if people are watching, if they want to donate to the cause, how can they do so?
Well, if they go to padrebikes.ca, so padrebikes.ca, and then when they get to that website, they will be able to either click on a donate button. There's also an address for those people who want to mail something in the mail. And then there's also another button that can access the Facebook blog that we made about this trip. So I'm here not only by myself, but my daughter is driving a support vehicle, and we are having great adventures, especially with her cat, Jamie. Jamie's a 10-month-old tabby and a venture cat, and we go kayaking with her and canoeing with her. And this trip is much more than just this fundraiser. This is my summer holidays. This is father-daughter time. This is learning more about Canada. We started on July 1st, and we had strong connection with the First Nations communities. Every Child Matters has been a daily theme in this whole trip. It's amazing. It's awesome. I'm learning.
Father Ivan, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much for joining us. And hopefully everyone goes to padrebikes.ca and donates to a great cause to help out those in need in the Ukraine. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Connor. Thanks for having this interview.
Thanks again for joining us, and you can catch us in the next hour on CITL.